Hi there, my name is Kayla, and today I wanted to open up and to tell you a story. It is a story of struggle, a story of pain, and a story about something that I have been dealing with for a very long time. It's a struggle that's almost entirely mental, but financial, emotional. It's torture for a lot of women. But because it's not entirely physical, it's something that not a lot of people understand. And that leads women to suffer through this in silence. So today I wanted to tell my story, which is actually Patrick and I's story. And I just want to open up so that I can teach you that it's okay to open up about your struggles. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to tell people that you're going through something extremely hard and you're not okay. It truly is the most important thing that you can do for yourself, to open up to somebody. It doesn't have to be in a public setting like this, but open up to somebody no matter what your struggle is, even if it's not the same struggle as mine. Just talk to people, because that's the only way I've made it through this. So I want to tell you this story. It's not going to be easy, as you can see, but I think it'll be worth it. And I think that hopefully it can help people. So I guess there's nothing left to do but to start at the beginning. So I am engaged to Patrick. It's been the best 3 years of my life. It's been the hardest 3 years of my life. It's been the most challenging, and it's been the most rewarding for a lot of reasons. So we met at work, if you didn't know that, and we were really good friends for a really long time. We met when we were both at really bad places in our life, and we both had a lot of healing to do. And through our friendship, I think we learned a lot about ourselves. So we worked together for about 8 months. Here's actually a picture of the day that I met Patrick. I took a picture. It was my first day of work, and that was the day that I met him. And he was one of the only people who really reached out to me and made me feel comfortable in this new setting, because I was very, very nervous to start this new job. But he showed me around, he made me laugh, and we became really good friends. We worked together almost every day. So fast forward from meeting to about 8 months or so, we stopped working together, and we kind of just always kept in touch a couple times a month or something, just to catch up, say, hey, how are you doing, you know, whatever. We started talking more and more since we were both transitioning through stages of our lives, and so we decided to hang out, and you know, it kind of just went from there. And we realized that our friendship was so strong because we really cared about each other, and that there was a lot more there than we realized for the longest time. So we started dating. It was a crazy, fun experience, learning about each other and building this friendship into a relationship, falling in love. I don't think we really processed it because it was so surreal that neither one of us had really understood what this friendship was, and never looked at it as anything other than a friendship until suddenly we couldn't deny it anymore. So it was really unexpected for us, although others will probably tell you that they saw it coming from a mile away. We never did. And I think that was the fun of it. So he taught me a lot about myself. I had a lot of healing to do from past relationships, and so did he, and so we really learned together. He really is my best friend, and I think that that's why our relationship is so strong, is because we were best friends first. And not that you have to be best friends with somebody before you're with them. I mean, plenty of relationships don't happen that way, but for us, that's what made us work. I will tell you and him any day of the week, he is my best friend before he is anything else. So fast forward our relationship again, there was something that had always kind of kept me from fully committing to the idea that this could last long term. And that was the fact that because I knew him so well before we were together, I knew his hopes and dreams and his goals and the things that he wanted for his life and the things that he was very against. And this is where I start to explain the struggle of my life. Patrick had told me from early on in our friendship, he wanted to be a dad. And that's the only thing he wanted for his life. Not the only thing he wanted for his life, but that was the biggest thing that he wanted for his life. And not only did he want to be a dad, but he wanted his own children. But for me, I'm infertile. And now that sounds like a very concrete and end of the line, there's nothing you can do term. However, all that means is that you can't get pregnant on your own. Science and technology, you know, that's out there, there's options, there's things that you can do. So although saying I am infertile sounds so final, it's not. But it also is an unknown. You don't know when you find that out if you will ever have children of your own. You don't know. So for you, it could be final. And so going into a relationship knowing that I may not be able to have my own children and he doesn't want to love any children that aren't his own, how do you make that work? How do you see that going long term? So for me, I knew in my heart that our relationship wouldn't work. I knew I couldn't let him go now. I knew he couldn't let me go now. But I knew that at some point we were gonna have to make the decision that it would be over. And I just remember crying to my mom, saying like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do because I don't want to lose him. But how can I be the one to beg him to stay with me and continue this relationship knowing that he's not going to leave me because he doesn't want to break my heart. He loves me. But I felt like I had to make that decision and walk away from him in order to let him have the life that he wanted. I mean, Patrick and I sat on multiple occasions, bawling our eyes out because we were scared. We were scared. And he always told me that he wanted to be with me no matter what, and that he was willing to give up that part of his life to be with me, even if that meant that we just had great careers and traveled the world and had no responsibilities other than our idiot dog. We only had one at the time. But it was always in the back of my mind, what do we do? What do we do? And I told him, I won't marry you until we are having a baby, because I don't want to marry you and then 5, 10, 15 years from now, you resent the fact that you never had your own children. I said, I'll be with you, but I'm not gonna marry you. But lo and behold, he had other plans, like he always does. And on July 3rd of 2018, he shocked me by proposing to me in front of both of our families. And he told me that he wanted to marry me no matter what, and he wasn't gonna take no for an answer. And so I finally gave in. And I said, you know what, like, okay, I'll marry you. But I was still so scared. You see, we had tried with a doctor prior to getting engaged. We had tried a round of medication, and it didn't work. And it broke my heart, and it broke his heart. And just month after month, I just knew that it didn't work, and I didn't know if it ever would work. I didn't expect to cry this much. Sorry. He still loved me because he's the greatest man in the world, and he was willing to give up his biggest dream for me. For me. I don't know why. To this day, I don't know why. But he really is the greatest man I've ever known in my life. And he loves me so much. So throughout all this time, you know, we moved to Arizona together. We got engaged. We fell harder and harder in love. We went through struggles, you know, being across the country from our families, and, you know, the financial burden of moving and of paying for fertility treatments. And throughout that time, we got a new puppy because I just wanted a puppy. I wanted a baby. And so then we got Ziva, and she's a little spitfire brat, but we love her. We, you know, traveled home a few times and spent a lot of time with family whenever we could, and it's been a great 3 years. It really has. Patrick is my best friend, but you're not gonna call him Patrick because you're gonna call him Dad. And We love you so much. So that's our story. But let me tell you about your story. Something clicked in both of us, and I think it reopened that desire for me that I had kind of closed off and put to the side. And I started researching clinics, and I knew that we couldn't afford to stay at our clinic here in Arizona anymore. It was just crazy expensive. And I found a clinic in New York that their IVF was so affordable, and we were like, how are we gonna do this? Like, yes, it's so affordable, but affordable IVF is still 10 grand. That's not, you know, affordable. That's affordable compared to the 20, 30 grand that it would be here in Arizona. So I don't know how we made it work. I mean, I do know our families are great, and you know, I went and stayed with my mom in Michigan for 2 months so that I could drive to New York instead of flying. Every week we would buy a couple more medications. You know, we spent thousands of dollars just trying to make this happen, and that's not even including the actual cost of the procedure. I started taking shots, and I started taking pills. I mean, just so many medications. Made me feel like crap. I got bloated. I looked horrible. We went to the egg retrieval in New York, and he had to be there with me to do his part, obviously.
Every single night she wants some more of me. I'ma have to curb with some authority. Bringing hella drama, you annoying me. Know it's only good if I invited you to cordially. Plus you always mad for
how's the drive going?
By the time we spend together,
we're about like 6.5 hours away, I think.
Something like that.
In Ohio. And we had 21 eggs retrieved, which was better than we could have hoped for. Out of 21 eggs, we only ended up with 3 embryos, which is the first stages of a baby. It was pretty devastating. I cried because we don't know if this is gonna work the first time. I mean, so many people go through 12 embryos before they get pregnant. So it was terrifying, but my doctor was able to diagnose me with hidden PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, and I have it without having any proof that I have it, except for how my body responds to IVF. Or that's the short version. So with that, he did give me a bit of hope and said, you know, since this is your issue, we can say that most likely that's going to be your only issue, and you shouldn't have a problem from here on out. So we had a lot of hope. I'm back in Michigan at this point. Patrick had to go back to Arizona, and so here are some clips of my mom and I going to New York. She went with me. It was great. We had a lot of fun. This looks... Cheers. That's really good. Locking in. I'm getting really nervous, but I'm sure it'll be good. So we got to the transfer day, and that was October 15th. And from there, I was PUPO, which is pregnant until proven otherwise, which means you have an embryo in you, but is it gonna stick? We don't know. So I drove back to Michigan. 2 days later, I drove back to Arizona by myself with the 2 dogs. And 2 days after I got back to Arizona, I took a test, and it was positive. And I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it. I still don't believe it. Other than my hormones are crazy, and I've suddenly overnight got this belly, and I've been so sick. Oh, I've been so sick. Every day. I mean, I didn't get out of bed for weeks. But yeah, that is your story, baby. So now you know my struggle, and you know how you came into the world. But I just want you to know that the struggle was so worth it. And even though I don't know what you are yet, and I don't know when exactly I'll get to hold you, you wanna know the craziest thing of all? You're due to arrive on July 3rd, 2019. which, if you remember, is the day that your dad convinced me to marry him. Talk about karma or fate. I don't know what you call that. Just amazing. I love you, and your dad loves you, and I can't wait for you to watch this video someday. I can't wait to find out what you are, which is going to happen soon. But you're here on Earth, and hearing your little heartbeat and seeing you move around on the ultrasound and waving and flipping and wiggling, and oh, it's the greatest thing of all. And your dad probably doesn't want anyone to know this, but he cried really hard. We both did. Yeah. I can't wait to hold you. I just can't wait. You are a miracle. You wouldn't be here if it wasn't 2018. So all we can do is thank Dr. Corley and Dr. Kilt for helping me give you to your father, who deserves you more than anyone.